Week's performance against West Virginia Wesleyan was a real gutsy performance going on the road after dropping 2 games and rebounding into a situation where we came away with a win. And I think our team in many ways grew up a lot on that day, and we kind of supported each other offensively and defensively, and certainly in special teams with field position. And that made a big difference for us. A lot of their possessions started inside the 20, and though we gave up a lot of rushing yardage, when it came time to firm up and win third downs, we did for the first time all year at a clip that was acceptable. And I think that offensively, fourth quarter, with 5 minutes left in the ball game, we took the ball 90 yards and scored, and the defense stood up and held. So we made some gains last week in a tough environment to win in, and we feel really good about where things are heading in our program right now.
Brian Novak, complete passes to 3 receivers, 227 yards. Is that the kind of performance that we need from here on out? Absolutely.
You've got to lean on your most veteran and your most dominant players, and Brian is both of those things. And the fact, I think, that they really leaned on Douse heavy, they should have, because of his performance the week before. And that made all the difference in the world, I think, with Paul Jones, having 7 catches. And that was pleasant to see. Cam Curley had a big catch, took us down in the red zone there. We were able to score off of that drive as well. And, so the thing that maybe wasn't ready for is when you take away one thing, what's going to pop up. And what popped up was other people showing up and making plays. And, he had most of the day had good protection. And when that happens, you have a seasoned quarterback, he can find some people that are open. And that's really what occurred offensively.
You spoke last week about the emotions of returning to Wesleyan because you had spent so much time there. How was it on Saturday, just experiencing it?
It was a great experience. Win, lose, or draw, you do see a lot of people that, for 20 plus years I was in that area, and a lot of people came up to me. We were up there Friday, I seen him, and seen old Coach Carpenter, who coached there when I was a player. So it was good to play in front of some of those people, and to be successful, walk out of there with a win was a really nice thing, personally for me, and obviously the program was at a point we really needed to rally and come back. So it was a great experience, I think, for the kids, myself, and everybody involved in the program. A nice day of weather, facilities and everything up there was, it was a good environment to play in. And the referee, they emailed me the penalty report and things, said it was a great game to be a part of, because it was a very competitive football game, and something that if you're lucky enough to watch it, it kept you in the stands to the last second. So it was all around a good day for everyone.
Coach, defensively, you held Wesleyan to 3 for 12. Did the defense feel sort of vindicated, like this is what we can do?
Absolutely, and it was a step we needed to make, and we would not be the team that we wanted to be until we made that step. And offensively, we were a little bit better in third downs and made some key ones. That was good to see. But defensively, like I said, they moved the ball at will at times, and the same person who needed a 3rd and 2 couldn't get it. Mike Anderson, we boxed him up in the backfield several times on 3rd and short, and that was probably the difference in the ball game, was being able to get them off the field. Having one more turnover than they got on us is always a good thing when you're plus in the turnover war. If you can pull that off, you're going to put yourself in position to win, and that's exactly what happened.
Once again, in penalties went over 100 yards. There's not much more you can do.
Well, we obviously are addressing, especially the fouls that occur that we feel aren't during the football play. That when you get to the sideline, tackling a guy out of bounds or making a hit, it's unnecessary. And probably when you look at the big picture of it, I was not happy with our 12 penalty performance. They had 13, and theirs is a graphic example to our players. stymied them. They started most of their drives inside the 20, and regardless of how many yards they gained, they still had a long field every time they got the ball. And you know, you can just look right at Wesleyan's penalty problem and say that was their demise in the end. And I think that you know, our guys are you know, we are preaching it constantly. We did cut down on holding penalties. That was a good thing to see on the offensive line. I think we're coaching them out of holding, and you know, the punishment this past week has not been a pleasant place to have a personal foul. Let me say that. So I think that they, if they did not know it last week, they certainly know it this week, and that's really a choice that, you know, when it comes to close, you got to pull off. And our guys are playing harder and harder. And I think when you play hard, you are more apt to more people be close to the ball when you're vulnerable to that type of mistake. And now they're learning they can play hard and stay away from penalties as well. So we're addressing that constantly, and that's something that we know that where it's going to cost us down the road here unless we change that. So we are certainly coaching that out of our guys.
As far as Charleston goes, did you see them getting off to a poor start like they have?
Well, it's a crazy game. It's the same reason people, you know, can't turn it off the TV. You never know what's going to happen. And they did get off to a tough start. Their schedule was stacked early in the year, where they played some of the better teams in the league. And they're for the most part still the same Charleston team. They run the ball very effectively, and you know, their running backs are the same guys they had for the previous year or two, and their offensive line is as good as anybody in this league. And you know, that's our real challenge this week is to you know, stand up against their run. And if we can do that, we think we have a real fighting chance of winning the game. And that's been our emphasis on it. But to predict the outcomes of football games is always difficult to do. And you know, Notre Dame, they ran into them early, and they are on a hot spell right now where they're winning a lot of football games. And you know, they leveled themselves up when they played West Virginia State last Thursday, and you know, got a big win that I'm sure they needed. And you know, I think that that's just the course of this league right now, and it's going to be one where you got to show up and play every single week. And you know, they played some of the better teams in this league very, very tight. And that says something about who they are. They're a very good football team. I think you know, when the smoke clears at the end of the year, they're going to be above the 500 level. There's no doubt about that. And we plan on being the same way. So this is a big game, I think, for both teams because of that.
It's kind of a rivalry for you guys.
It is. You know, geographically, we're close. You know, and I think that you know, it's kind of we've been mirrored teams. That you know, for the last several years, both of us have been in the running very late in the season. And that means that whoever would win the game has the upper hand. If you look at the past 5 years, that's really been the case. When we've had success and won the league, we had to take it through Charleston. When they made the playoffs last year, they had to get over top of us. You know, when they played us on Thursday night last year. And really the winner of this game, you know, there's been some good spoils that go along with it. So that, along with the fact, I think that you know, they're one of the closer teams to us. They're in the same geographical area of the state that we are, and you know, it's there's been a good rivalry that exists. I think a rivalry means that, you know, you've got to beat them as much as they beat you. Those are the type of the games that when the year is up, that you look back and say that was a big win or a big loss, and that's what the Charleston game has been last several years to both teams.
It's like you mentioned, there's never been a blowout in this series between the two. It's been very tightly contested, especially the last couple of years.
Well, there's been overtime games. You know, if you remember the game we played down there a couple of years ago, and they had the ball on the very footer so line, you know, and they didn't end up scoring. They ended up walking away with that game. Even before that, you know, I think 2012 maybe it was a game we had lost Grassi, our starting quarterback, and went in with a new guy, and that was a very close game, even though the chips were down, and they came away with that one. And really, you're right, it has been very, very hotly contested play by play, and it's not been necessarily a blowout or anything where there's been, you know, a couple touchdown lead. It seems like it's a white knuckler anytime we play these guys to the end.
Offensively, no matter what they've had, Coach DeMayer, Coach Kirkland had a lot of talent on that side of the ball, a lot of speed, and a lot of playmakers really in all positions.
Absolutely, and I think this year's no exception. You know, they've been banged up a little bit at quarterback and had to use some other people, but that really hasn't slowed them down. I think they've adapted, and against West Virginia State, statistically, they went to the run, and it worked for them. And there's no reason to believe that they won't do the same thing this week, because we've had our troubles in containing the run. So, you know, I think it's going to be a game where, like any game you play, you look and see what the team does, and you want to take that away from them. I don't think we can take the run away from them. We can certainly try to contain it and force them into situations where they get, you know, third and longs, and that's a lot of what went on at Wesleyan. When we had them behind the sticks on third down, we were pretty successful. But if they, you know, winning third down for us against Charleston would be a matter of winning first down. And if we can contain that run, you know, coming out of the chute, I think we'll be very competitive. And if not, then we're going to have a longer day. And so we've been working on that extensively.
Last year's game, UC created a lot of first down conversions on that final drive where they were able to run off the clock. How motivated is defense to put a stop to that this year?
Well, I think that you know, we struggled in constantly, you know, stopping the run last year, and they were able to extend drives because of it. And you know, there's no way around it. Our front seven are motivated by that fact. That if they play well, and if they do their portion of the job, then, you know, our win is much more likely. And if we don't do what we need to do there in containing the run, the opposite will be true. So there's no doubt there's a high level of motivation up front for both teams, I'm sure.
Coach, talk to us about the turnover margin where Concord has been able to +2 and Charleston has been giving the ball up.
Yeah, I think that, you know, if you look at, and they struggled at Glenville, that was a big part of it. And, you know, they turned the ball over certainly more than they wanted to. And we've been very stingy, knock on wood, with holding on to the football. That's a two-way street, both sides of the ball are included. If you are not turning the ball over and getting a few, you're still on the plus side. And if your defense can, you know, manage a slew of turnovers, and your offense isn't keeping up with it, then you have the same effect of it. So we've really worked on, you know, controlling the ball and ball security offensively. We think that a young offense, the worst thing you can do is to turn the ball over and give the other team, you know, possession opportunities that they shouldn't have. So right now we're going to continue, you know, to secure the ball, not take chances until we deem it necessary with anything. And you know, defensively, we're trying to be more aggressive. So we're in places that the offense doesn't think we're going to show up. Blitz an extra guy in the backfield. That's where a lot of your you know, turnovers occur, when you force an offense to you know, to act out of, you know, bad timing, and you know, they throw off timing, or they're hit before they're ready to really try to make something happen there. But we will continue that trend on this team in being on the plus side of the turnover battle.